Welcome to the Practice Podcast, a show created by lawyers to help lawyers in life and business without all the complicated lawyer language. Let's welcome Bast Amron founders and your hosts, Jeff Bast and Brett Amron.
All right, Jeff.
Hello, Brett Amron.
How are you today?
I'm fantastic.
All right.
How are you today?
Excellent.
All right. Am I asking you a question?
I don't know. Are you? You don't need to.
Yeah,
you
no,
can just get right
I'll
into
ask
it.
you a question. What childhood memory makes you smile?
Ooh, wow. ChatGPT did a good one today. That was good.
You keep attributing these to ChatGPT. They're not.
They totally
They
are.
are not.
Yeah,
but if you want,
you did come up with that.
I'll start.
What childhood memory makes me smile? Wow.
He's just stalling.
No, you know what I would. I mean, it's not
What's
one
one that comes
specific
to mind?
thing,
Yeah.
but probably being able to play, like ride my bicycle around the neighborhood, play outside until it's dark, and then come home.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
That's good. I like it.
And you?
Yeah, I have similar one, but the one that came to mind immediately was when I was in kindergarten. I'm the fourth of five.
They had
I
kindergarten
older
back then?
siblings. And the elementary school, the sixth grade room was kind of next to the kindergarten room.
Yeah.
When we would take naps, the sixth graders would put Red Hots, like those little Red Hot candies. They would come in and they'd put two Red Hots on your chest if you were behaving nicely. And my older brother was in sixth grade, so he came in. I would always have like a pile of Red Hots on my chest, and I don't know. That was the first thing that came to mind when I thought of that question. So anyway, one little childhood memory.
Red Hots.
Yeah.
All right. Well, for your next birthday,
Yeah, Red Hots.
I'll get you a box of Red Hots. Would you eat those today?
No, but I drink this tea, and this tea, the Bengal spice tea that I drink.
Tastes like a Red Hot?
Yeah, it's like cinnamon.
All right.
Anyway.
And you're smiling once you're drinking.
I'm always smiling, right?
All right. So we have a very special guest today. So let's get to it. Very special to me personally, but also very special
you
generally.
introduce him.
I am going to.
All right, fine. Be that way.
Joel Hirschhorn is a nationally recognized criminal defense attorney with more than 5 decades of experience representing clients in complex federal investigations, white-collar cases, and high-stakes litigation. Named Best Lawyers in America, get this, since its inaugural edition over 40 years ago, and every single year since. He is widely regarded as one of the top criminal defense attorneys in the country. I would say he is a great among the greats. He has been published in such prestigious magazines as Forbes, People, U.S. and Town and Country, as well as numerous daily newspapers, including the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, USA Today, the Miami Herald, South Florida Sun Sentinel, and the Daily Business Review.
Wow.
Candidly, out of all those, I take the Daily Business Review off of that. But anyway, he has also made guest appearances on Oprah Winfrey, 60 Minutes, Today, American Justice, and Good Morning America. He is still practicing today and maintains a selective nationwide practice, offering clients personalized representation and concierge level service. I would say he always did that, but his distinguished career includes leadership roles as former president of the American Board of Criminal Lawyers, the Wisconsin Bar Non-Resident Lawyer Division, as well as fellowships in the International Academy of Trial Lawyers and Litigation Council of America. He is admitted before the United States Supreme Court, nearly all federal courts of appeal, and numerous state and federal courts nationwide. I'm going to run through some stats which blew my mind. His stats, they're insane. He has appeared in at least 45 federal districts and 34 state courts. He has close to He has close to 400 jury trials and over 160 federal and state appeals. Those are the ones you lost.
No, I was up once as an appellee.
There you go.
I lost then too.
And he's handled matters in the Bahamas, Haiti, Italy, Poland, the Turks and Caicos, the UK, and many South and Central American countries. The man's a legend.
Yeah.
One of the main reasons I'm here today, and he's a very special place in my heart. He's a former boss, a mentor, both career and personal, and a friend. And he's as tough as they come, but man, does he have a heart of gold. Joel Hirschhorn, welcome.
Nice. Welcome. Wow.
Thank you. And I'm only going to say that you only got me mad one time when, as you were graduating after 2 years as a superstar law clerk, I offered you a job to come work with us as a criminal defense lawyer. And you said, no, you were going to go into a real practice.
And he went to become a
Well, I started out as a prosecutor, and then I went into private practice.
So the offer was after the prosecutor's office?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And when he said a real firm,
no,
he meant
I did not. There's no way I said that. There's not a chance I said that.
It doesn't sound
Well, you've certainly done well.
Well, I appreciate that.
Extraordinarily well, and it makes me very proud.
Thank you. And I will tell the story that I tell everybody around here real quick about when I worked for you. I asked you, state attorney, I wouldn't want to be a litigator before I started working for you. And I will candidly tell you today, because I would be scared to tell you back then, I had no idea who you were. I'm not from Miami, right? So I walk into the Career Resource Center, University of Miami, and there's a posting for a law clerk for you, and at the time your associate, Brian Bieber. And I pulled it off and I called, I interviewed, I got the gig. It's fantastic. I started over like Christmas break of my second year of law school. Anyway, so I start, fast forward, I go through litigation skills and I do the CLI, the Certified Legal Intern program. And I said, Joel, public defender or state attorney's office? And you told me state attorney's office to get the in-court trial experience, best thing. I said, okay, great. So I applied. I went through the first round. I got to the second round. And I was working for you and I said, Joel, I got to leave because I have my interview. And you said, okay, great. Who are you interviewing with? Do you remember this?
No, I don't remember.
Okay, so you said who you're interviewing with. And to be honest with you, I apologize. I forgot the guy's name, but he was very high up in the office. And I told you who it was. So it was at UM. I go in and I sit down and he says, all right. And I said, hi, how are you? Whatever. He said, yeah. He said, okay, so Joel called me. Joel Hirschhorn called me. And I said, okay. And he said, if I didn't hire you, it would be the biggest mistake
I remember that.
I've ever made.
I do remember that.
And I just sat there and I said, okay. And he said, so I guess I have to put you through the next round. And I just sat there and he said, you can go. And I just looked at him like, are you sure? I don't know. Anyway, so
shortest interview ever.
Shortest interview ever. Wow. Oddest feeling, but I mean, so thankful to you for stepping out and doing that because not everybody would do that.
No, I meant it.
And I appreciate it.
I don't remember who it was I was talking to, but I didn't have any trouble getting through to it.
It's a guy named Gary. Was it Gary? Very high up in the, anyway, it doesn't matter. We don't need to recount that. But anyway, that to me started me off on what is my career as a prosecutor and then getting into private practice and here today. So thank you for that. And I appreciate it.
My pleasure, indeed. My honor.
It was an amazing time working for you. So can you tell us, like, I want to start now and then we can go back to the beginning, but like why do you still do it? Why? And you love doing what you do.
I still love it.
Yeah.
I get up in the morning. Well, sometimes now I'm getting up 2, 3, 4 in the morning on the iPhone and sending messages to myself or clients because I'm constantly thinking, how can I jam the government today? And I don't mean spread it on bread.
Right.
Okay. I love what I do. Mm-hmm. I get up in the morning. I can't wait. My biggest disappointments, frankly, are when the client decides to plead guilty because I'm a trial lawyer. I love it. And people know me. Recently, my best friend, Michael Tarry, I don't know if you know Michael, passed away. And I'm mad at him. He was a great lawyer. He represented Mousy Gross, got him acquitted, Judge Gross, years ago. Michael was supposed to do my obituary, and this sums me up, really. He was going to stand up at my funeral and say, no one was neutral about Joel Hirschhorn, and sit down. And I wear that as a badge of honor.
Right, yeah.
And actually, it's what I have asked to have engraved on my footstone at the cemetery when I head out to Lakeside.
That's funny.
So that's why I do it. And it keeps me young, frankly.
Yeah. You look fantastic.
Thank you.
And you're sharp. I mean, to go to trial like after 5 decades and just want to do that. Trial is a grind. It's
I've
tough.
got a special set one for a month in Tampa, $128 million bank fraud. It'll be just before my 83rd birthday, and I'm looking forward to it.
Wow. That's amazing.
So tell us.
That is amazing. Can we start with the origin story?
Yeah.
I'm curious. Go. How did this all start?
You mean Bereshis, the first word in the Bible?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So I was at the UW Law School, University of Wisconsin Law School.
Are you from Wisconsin? No. I saw the Wisconsin Bar non-resident lawyer division on your bio, and I was
on the Board of Governors for 3 years, too.
So you went to university?
I went to undergraduate school, University of Connecticut, graduated in 1964. The choice then was Vietnam or law school, but I always knew I wanted to be a lawyer since I was in 8th grade. And my 8th grade teacher, Mrs. Bredis, thank you, said, Joel, you got a big mouth. You should become a lawyer. We got career day coming up. I interviewed a lawyer. I loved him, Max Lepofsky, and that's why I became a lawyer. Anyway, I go off to law school. Halfway through my second year, I married a young lady. You knew my first wife.
I did.
She was from Coral Gables. And that marriage lasted 43 years. But along the way, I picked up my first, when I graduated law school, I had my cards printed after I got admitted to the bar.
But you graduated law school and then you were coming here? Or
I got admitted to Wisconsin on diploma privilege and I moved to Miami.
Oh, you were moved because she was from here?
Yeah. Okay. And I took the bar exam and where the Epic Hotels is.
Right, yeah.
That's where the old DuPont was.
Sure.
I got admitted.
DuPont Plaza.
Had cards printed up. and went to see a pawnbroker by the name of Milton Levison, 130 North Miami Avenue.
I did work on some
Of course you did. Of course, he was my client. He was my first client and my client for 34 years.
Yeah.
I go in there, and I had an edge because my then wife was friendly with his daughter. And so he said, hey, I got a problem. The Hialeah police just seized 23 coins. Can you get them back for me? My lawyer isn't interested. His lawyer was Henry Carr, the legendary Henry Carr. So I'm like, whoa. I got lucky, took the case, filed a writ of replevin against the city of Hialeah, argued in small claims court. This is when there were only 4 federal judges, 4 criminal court of record judges, maybe 18 circuit court judges.
Wow.
20 people in the U.S. Attorney's Office, maybe 40 people in Gerstein's office, and somehow Judge Shapiro took sympathy on me and granted my petition for a writ of replevin. I got the 23 coins back. I represented Levison's. As long as he was alive and in business, 34 cases. I lost one. That's because he didn't take my advice. His son today is a jeweler, a private jeweler, and he is still my friend. And that's where it started. People would come into the pawn shop. Mm-hmm. They'd be crying. And Milton said, what's the matter? Oh, my son got arrested. My husband got arrested. Do you have a lawyer? No, not yet. Oh, I got a good lawyer for you. So I wound up doing criminal defense work. Bunch of referrals from the pawnbroker. That was a time when Miami was sleepy. The whole county had maybe 750,000 people. All the lawyers knew each other. You walk down Flagler Street, everybody knew each other. It was a friendly time. If you cut a deal with a prosecutor or another lawyer, whether it was on the phone or in person, and you shook hands, you were good to go. Mm-hmm. That was an enforceable agreement right then and there, and rarely did people breach that agreement. So it was a different time.
Yeah.
It was a sleepy time.
And this is just, you hang your own shingle. Like you graduated law school, come here, and and this literally, that was your first client.
It was my first client.
You've had 34 cases, you said, for this same client over the years?
Over 40 years.
Is it, I imagine they're all different. Like, in other words, some might have been criminal related or nothing.
There were some criminal investigations,
right,
but no criminal cases against them.
Right.
There were people complaining that maybe there were all sorts, mostly civil kind of stuff.
Right.
But,
so, and when you started this practice, did you have a sense of it's going to be a general practice, or is that just how?
No, it was never a general practice.
Yeah. It was always a litigation practice, but
yeah. Criminal,
civil, whatever.
I currently have 5 cases, one of which is civil. I'm representing the family of a 13-year-old in a wrongful death case against the city of Chicago, 13-year-old Mexican-American kid that was shot and killed by a Chicago cop after the cop said, stop, show me your hands. He stopped, he showed him his hands, the cop drilled him. Oh, that's set for trial in April. Wow. That may be my last jury trial. Maybe, I'm not sure. And then I got this one in $128 million bank fraud in Tampa, federal, set for April. Right. And I have 3 other cases that 2 are civil, but they're all theft, white-collar, civil theft.
So you hang a shingle. Was that always the plan? Like, did you ever have a thought that you were going to? Yeah, I mean, was there a plan, or did you think maybe I'm going to go work for a law firm? And
my father-in-law said to me, you should go see my friend Shepard Broad. I said, why? I said, because he said, and Alvin Cassell had been to my wedding. So why? I think you should go to work for him. No, I want to do it my way. And then I got a couple of injunctions against the sheriff, then the sheriff, now it's sheriff again. The pawnbroker referred me to my first porno case. That's what launched my career. Mm-hmm. And I was doing a bunch of porno defense work. Now, porno is not the same as what you see on Netflix is what I was defending back in the 70s. Single male posed, simulated sex. There was no child porn in those days. But it was all that kind of stuff. And it was the pornography cases that launched my career.
And these are criminal cases?
Criminal misdemeanors in Florida. I tried over 100 of them, jury trials. They were all 1 or 2 day jury trials all over the country. That helped me get 34 different states in addition to 32, in addition to Wisconsin and Florida. So that's what launched my career. And it kind of put me on the map. And I was court appointed in a rape case. And a reporter gave me a tip, the Silva case, that the jury commissioner was handpicking jurors, and this was a capital case. Milt Friedman was the judge. He had appointed me. In those days, you got paid $750 for a capital case. And we all did that work. I got to drop back for a second. When I was doing the porno work, all the public defenders used to come down because they would show the films in court. And they'd sit behind the prosecutor and they'd be laughing. And the jurors would be saying, how can we find this? And these guys think it's funny, not knowing that they're public defenders. Boy Black would come, David Weed. I mean, all those guys, Margolius. I mean, all of them. I could go on. And all these guys that are really become really great lawyers, they'd all come.
Amazing. And these, just to be clear, they're prosecuting. Who is getting prosecuted?
The operator of the machine,
the director,
the owner of the theater.
Oh, these are porno theaters.
Right.
They're getting prosecuted
Adult
for showing adult films.
Adult bookstores and adult theaters. But I got my big break because I wound up representing Deep Throat 7 times and Linda Lovelace once.
Wow.
All right? Okay. Anyway, the state could not get a conviction in those cases. They could not.
But they kept bringing them.
Of course.
They kept you in business.
Of course. Are you kidding me? Gerstein was great about it. Oh, we're going to clean up Little River. Right. Good luck. Anyway, Milt Friedman gives me an order. I filed a motion seeking to declare the method of picking juries in Dade County unconstitutional because the jury commissioner acknowledged in his deposition that he had a box of index cards, white for white boys, yellow for Jewish people, blue index cards for black people, and orange index cards for white women. And he would go through, and that's how he picked jurors instead of at random.
Whoa. That is...
I laugh because it's insane.
Remarkable.
You think I'm kidding? State versus Silva, okay?
That is
1972.
crazy.
And what happened?
269 something. All right.
You told me the story. Like, what happened? Listen to this.
So Judge Friedman gives me the right to take the deposition of then Chief Judge Marshall Weishart, a cranky guy. I mean, if you looked up Cranky, you saw his picture, but he was powerful. And he comes into my office. In those days, you took depositions in your office. Gerstein himself came in to defend the deposition. And so I said, say your name, Marshall Weishart. And your occupation, I'm Chief Judge, son. And as long as I'm Chief Judge, you're never going to get another appointment. And that was true. Make a long story short, we were able to show through Yale Freeman, who was working with me at the time, we were able to show the statistical improbability of these jury veneries being so white and having so few Jewish people and so few black people and so few women. Friedman entered an order certifying the question about the lack of constitutionality of the method of picking juries. He sent it to the Florida Supreme Court. They entered an order stopping all jury trials in Dade County. 6 weeks later, they came down with an opinion saying I was right.
Wow.
And that helped me all over the rest of the state, attacking first the state method of picking the state jurors, then the grand jurors. And that case really was a huge boost to my career. It was at that point that I'd be walking down the street, legends like J.B. Spence, the two tall guys, Pete Fay, all those guys that went onto the federal bench, they'd be walking down the street because they were all chummy no matter which side they were on. They'd say, Mr. Hirschhorn, good case, way to go, And, man, I got
He felt good, yeah.
The lions of the bar.
Wow.
And then along came the pot.
What's the pot? What does that mean?
That changed Miami. See, Miami was sleepy then.
Drugs.
Pot,
yeah.
And so these kids, many of them were 19, 20-year-old kids. They'd have a go-fast boat. They'd speed off to the Bimini or one of the outer islands in the Bahamas. They'd pick up 2-3 compacted bags called square grouper, 50 pounds of pot in each bag.
Square grouper.
That's what's called, square grouper. And they'd bring it in, and I had already established my reputation as a constitutional lawyer because of the porno stuff as well as the Silva case. And so I started getting calls on motions to suppress the pot cases. And from there, I got a phone call from someone who eventually led me to what was eventually known as the Medellin cartel. And I did that work until about 1989. And as I told Mike Wallace on 60 Minutes, I'm done. The government is forfeiting my fees. I'm going to move on into white collar.
Wow. Now, just the motion to suppress, what exactly is that?
So if a cop confronts you and seizes without a warrant, or even with a warrant, if the warrant is defective, or you believe the affidavit in support of the warrant is defective, or if the cop did not have probable cause to reasonably believe you had committed a felony in his presence, or even if he did, the search exceeded the arrest area, you are entitled to file a motion to suppress the evidence. And without the evidence, whether it was pot that was seized from you, whether it was bank records, whether it was a gun. Once that evidence was suppressed, the case generally folded.
Right. So you get brought in on motions, specifically on motions to suppress? Or?
No, clients would call me and you'd
file a motion.
And I'd figure out the best way to go a motion.
So obviously you're very smart, very intellectual, very smart, and really obviously now a good lawyer. Everyone knows that. But it takes time to learn the craft. And I don't care how smart you are, right? So how did you, on your own...
law school.
You don't learn that in law school. No, of course not. And you don't have other lawyers down the hall where you can bounce ideas. You're on your own.
Right.
How did you sort of figure out how to do this?
Well, a couple of ways. In the first place, one of my favorite childhood memories is convincing the rabbi's son to sneak out at night and break windows in a neighbor's garage because we were mad at the neighbor. And then I, explained to the rabbi how the son, his name was David, how, when the cops came knocking at the door because it was inevitable, we needed to deny it. That actually worked out well, except my mother knew I was lying, so I couldn't see the rabbi's son for a while, and I had to pay for the windows. So that really isn't an answer to your question. I got extraordinarily lucky. I don't know why. Maybe I was born with a sixth sense about reading people. If you put a puzzle in front of me, I would take forever trying to put the pieces together. But if it's a puzzle between my ears or it's trying to figure out which piece of evidence is the weak link, for some reason, I was able to do that. And those porno cases, I got so much experience because,
there were so many of them.
My God. I tried 30 in a 3-month time period.
Oh, my gosh.
The chief judge assigned Henry Balaban to try all my cases. Gerstein brought in 2 guys. One was Schwartz. I can't remember his first name. He's since passed on. The other was Lenny Rifkin, who became a circuit judge. And they were special prosecutors who were volunteers cleaning up the city, and they would prosecute these cases. Jury would go out, another jury would be picked. We'd have 2 and 3 juries going in and out all the time. It was all over. Is this magazine nasty?
But you're handling those cases on your own without any sort of senior level guidance or anything like that?
I was at a law clerk, and then Yale Freeman was my associate, and then after Yale, I don't think Harry was doing porno. When Harry came along after Yale, I think that was done. But Ed Golden, Paul Cowan, I had some great law clerks. I was blessed. As a matter of fact, just like you, Brett, someone counted, I had at least 35 former law clerks in that book, Best Lawyers in America.
Wow.
So my father-in-law wanted me to go to Broad and Cassell. I'm not going with a bunch of stiff shirts, Broad Causeway, I'm not going there, all right? And he said, you're going to do criminal work? Here are the rules. And I've lived by them. 1, don't tell your client who you know because that will imply some sort of resolution. 2, don't charge a fee more than the case is worth to you because the client's going to think, wow, I'm paying so much money, and desperate people will pay it. This guy must have an in. And 3, don't make a promise you can't keep, and the only promise you can keep is that you will be as prepared as you can be and be where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be, except if you're in trial somewhere else. I've lived by those rules. Yeah. I've tried to teach them to my law clerks and my associates. And yes, by the mid-'70s, I had a partner or an associate and then a partner, and we always had 1 or 2 law clerks. And then when I started doing the Medellin cartel work, I had to up the ante and brought in a paralegal, but it was always only 1 associate or partner and a couple of law clerks. And even today, I'm working remote, but I refinished the basement in the new house that we just bought up in Madison, Wisconsin, because I moved from Miami. Can't stand this town anymore.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Put a pin in that.
So I converted our unfinished basement, about 1,600 square feet of the unfinished basement, into my office. I got everything I need, and everything's remote. I got an outstanding remote paralegal. By the way, you remember Anita, my lovely Anita?
Yes.
I want to kill her. She resigned after 43 years.
The best. Yeah. I had breakfast with her the last month that I was down here, and I've just hired a part-time associate, recent graduate of Harvard Law, who wants to work part-time out of Madison, and I've got a 3L working for me. I'm happy. I picked the few cases I want. Go back to the Medellin for a minute. How does that come about? Right. Obviously, you were one of the top criminal defense lawyers in Miami at the time.
It was a referral from a tax lawyer.
Right. It's not like one day you get a knock on the door and, right.
Bob Breyer, who is my good friend and an outstanding tax lawyer, partners with Evan Seif. Bob's since retired, same age as me. He retired, but Evan still runs his practice. He called me up one day and he said he had a client who had a serious tax problem, and the issue was he was afraid that he might get busted on drug smuggling because he couldn't show where the money came from, and he had to assert the Fifth Amendment on his tax return. It was from that case that I eventually got to represent what turned out to be the Medellin cartel. It was a different experience, you may be assured. Like one day being informed that I had to be in Medellin that afternoon to meet with someone important. I get picked up at the airport in an armored car, 2 bodyguards, a driver, and me, this little Jewish boy from Miami, saying what was going on here. I get driven to a house that has a zoo in it. And on the grounds, I'm looking around, a zoo, what is it? I'm brought to this house, huge house, 20,000 square feet on the roof, and there is Pablo Escobar asking me if I could win any of his cases. In that nanosecond, my entire life flashed by. I had 3 cases for him. Unbeknownst to me, at the time, I was representing his principal money launderer. Mm-hmm. So I told him the truth. I said,
wait. On that, you, unbeknownst to you, you had already been representing.
Well, I had 3 cases.
It was the tax cases.
2 drugs.
This
is long after.
Oh, long after.
3 cases related to or from.
Right. I didn't know that. Okay. 2 were the actual smugglers.
Okay.
And 1 was his money launderer.
And you were finding this out after the fact?
He's now in.
I'm now finding out.
Okay.
That's from Mr. Escobar.
That's what I mean. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to.
Can you win any of my cases? So I didn't, it didn't take much to figure out which cases he was talking about. So I said, no, I can't. All I can do is mitigate as best I can the sentence and try to string it out for as long as possible. He turns to his guard and says, an honest gringo, give him back his passport, because they had taken my passport. Take him back to the airport.
That's it. You got brought in for 5 minutes.
Do you ever think to yourself, what if I said, yes, I can? What?
I would not be here because I lost all 3.
Yeah. Right? So, not then. He wouldn't have done it then. He would have said, okay, well, your life depends on it, right? Who knows? Right.
I was going to ask you if at any point, before you start telling that, I was going to ask you if at any point you're ever concerned about your safety in this line of work.
One time. Well, actually, twice. Once was when my son Douglas was playing Little League Baseball. I had represented a guy, and he had smuggled in 800 kilos of cocaine through Homestead Aviation. And the first time we went to trial in federal court was a hung jury. Second time we went to court, hung jury. Third time, convicted.
Wow.
And I filed a motion to set aside the verdict. And anyway, to make a long story short, I get a visit from a fellow from down south who said this was an unacceptable result. So I offered to return the money to him. It was a substantial 5-figure fee. I write a check. I don't know how I was going to cover it, but I write the check. He takes the check and he rips it up. He says, no, we want him out. We don't want your money. 6 weeks, I lost 30 pounds.
Yeah. And
the judge agreed with me and vacated the verdict and did it in a way that the government couldn't appeal because of the technicality, because he granted my 29A instead of my 29C. And so
the guy got out.
That guy got out. His wife was pregnant. And you may be assured that down in Colombia, in Medellin, there is a kid named Joel. Guarantee. Wow. The second time was when I was representing the hitman for a group, and he had just come out of prison. While he was in prison, his wife, I forget who the judge was, it was a state court case. His wife had divorced him. And so he went to his former in-laws' house, not knowing that his son was 8-year-old son was hiding under the bed.
Oh, jeez.
And he asked him where his ex-wife was. They wouldn't tell him, so he shot both of them. Oh. During the trial, the judge says, we have to recess. Mr. Hirschhorn, come here. I said, what? Go up. He says, the bomb squad's checking your car out. Someone had called the family of the deceased that called in a bomb squad, had called in a bomb threat. Those are the only 2 times, but that was enough.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Wow. Okay.
So what's changed?
Let me tell you. I'm going to get there. So Miami was sleepy.
Mm-hmm.
It was a wonderful town. People could get sand in their shoes. They wouldn't want to leave. I loved the town. And then came along the pot and the cocaine, and Miami became what was known as the Casablanca of the Western world. All this drama and intrigue, the good guys, the bad guys, you couldn't tell who was on first or whatever. And then it really changed in a way that, it got huge. I guess there's about 3 million people now.
That's huge. That's big.
All these, and I say this sadly, all these young lawyers who come out of law school, they just want to notch their belt. They really, for the most part, don't care. I once had a case that clearly should have been resolved by a pretrial diversion, but the young prosecutor was hell-bent on convicting my clients so she could say she beat Joel Hirschhorn. Now, I went to Kathy Rundle, and I said, I don't want you to interfere with any discussions on this case. I want you to assign an experienced prosecutor, not this young kid who wants to notch her belt at my client's expense. It all changed. I don't know whether the lack of civility, I can't tell you. There are smarter people than me that have sorted that out.
And do you think that's so, like, you practice all over?
Yeah.
Clearly, not just here. Do you think it's more prevalent here?
Yes.
You do?
Yes. Yes.
Interesting.
It's also prevalent, unfortunately, in Chicago. So, it's prevalent in major cities. Here's part of the reason, I think. I don't know what it is that law schools teach this day. I know my stepson recently graduated from law school 2 years ago, UW Law, and his curriculum was nothing like mine. And I was actually surprised, and I've lectured at schools around the country, especially after I argued in the United States Supreme Court in the case which I lost, opposing cameras in the courtroom over a defendant's objection. And the schools there, I think they were more individualized. They took more of an interest in the student and building character than just pumping out lawyers.
So you think it's the educational system?
I think it's part
was
of it.
more about making money and profit.
Well, it's society in part as well, right? And there's a drive to, listen, part of it is societal in that, listen, you've got to make money and it's expensive to live and there's, so that's part of it too.
Very good point.
Yeah.
When I went to law school, I was at out-of-state or University of Wisconsin, a school of law, $700 a semester.
Oh, God.
Today, it's like $25,000 a semester.
Yeah.
And kids are graduating from college and law school with $200,000-$300,000 in debt.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah.
So of course you want to get in there and beat your chest and rake in the dollars as quickly as you can.
Well, it's interesting because I came out with loans from law school and I didn't feel that way. I knew like I'd have to grind and I have to do it, but I didn't. I went to the state attorney's office first, and then sort of worked my way up. But I don't know. I didn't feel that way, and I certainly didn't act that way. And you were the same, right,
here.
Jeff?
I had loans, loans from law.
So I don't know. Something different in society today.
Maybe something different at your dinner table.
Maybe.
Than at most of these young lawyers' dinner tables.
Maybe. And maybe it's a part of society too. Listen, it is certainly by an order of magnitude more expensive to live here than it was back when we certainly started and when the days you were talking about the sleepy town of Miami.
By the way, I want to just interrupt you for you said so when you came in to interview for me with me, you didn't know who I was. Don't feel badly.
Yeah.
When I started dating Angie, who I'm married to now for 15 and a half years, she didn't know who I was. She lives in Miami. She didn't know who I was. Okay. And I was out to dinner with her and meeting her two sons. And I find out later that after I left, I forget where I had to go, her son looked me up on the phone and said, "Mom, you know who this guy is?" And despite that, she married me.
Yeah, I obviously I didn't grow up here. I didn't know anything. I came to the University of Miami for law school, and that was it. So I didn't know.
Where are you from?
Well, New York, but I went to University of Florida. I graduated high school in Boca because my parents couldn't make up their mind. New York, Florida, but New York. So I didn't grow up in Miami.
I'll forgive you. It's all right. I'll forgive you. You came out okay. It's all right.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But so look, I think in terms of the practice today, I don't think all is lost. I think there are, some good young lawyers. Like for young lawyers that are listening today, what would you, if there was a young lawyer sitting in front of you or a young law student, what are some of the things that you would tell them to focus on, like to be successful?
One is I would not shingle. I would not.
No solo.
It's a dangerous game because you learn many bad habits. I just got lucky. But I also had my father-in-law who, had represented the mob back in the days. He had been a DA in New York. And then when he left in the late 30s, and he represented the mob, and he knew what the rules were, even though he played hardball. So I would not shingle. I would hope you could hook up with a mentor, starting with someone in law school. And if you're lucky, if you're extraordinarily lucky, you get to practice before a guy like Milt Hirsch,
Yeah.
Milt Hirsch makes it a mission of his that anytime he's got a jury trial, he takes these young lawyers in, prosecution and defense, and he doesn't lecture them he's like the kindly Dutch uncle. He explains to them what they did right and what they could do better, what they did wrong, how could they improve. I mean, there may be other judges in the Justice Building that do that. Federal judges do not.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think if it sounds like it's more of a criminal judge thing to get, to do that, provide that sort of mentoring. But we've heard that same theme from others, from your your generation.
Bob Josephsberg
who talked about being mentored from the bench.
Great Josephsberg story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. May he rest in peace. Yes.
So Josephsberg, Max Kogan, another legend of the criminal defense bar, and I are trying a case. I had just gotten contact. We were in front of Pete Fay when he was a district judge. I had just gotten contact lenses. Josephsberg had just had his cleft palate repaired, and Max Kogan couldn't hear worth a bean. So I lost the contact lens.
3 blind mice.
Judge, we need a recess. Come up here. What do you need a recess for in the middle of a witness? I said, I just lost the contact lens. He said, okay. Josephsberg says, Jan, how do you like trying a case for a guy who can't talk, a guy who can't hear, and a guy who can't see?
I love that story.
So
that's so funny.
There's another thing, too. Yeah. You ask judges who have sat both on the criminal bench and the civil bench, and they will tell you that they have more confidence in candor from the criminal defense lawyers
than the civil.
And the prosecutors who appear before them than they do with all these civil practitioners. And here's, I think, the reason why. As a criminal defense lawyer, I am always up against the same law firm,
right?
Whether it's the state attorney or the U.S. attorney. Yeah. I know that when I try a case, when I have a case in a foreign district, meaning, Illinois or, well, not Wisconsin, not far, but any other federal district outside of the Southern District of Florida, the first thing that the U.S. attorney does is input my name on the computer to someone in my home office. Hey, this guy Joel Hirschhorn just entered an appearance. What can you tell us about him? So you don't want to be dragging a reputation up into a new case before a new prosecutor in a new district where, you've undertaken conduct in court or with a prosecutor that you would not be proud to report at home.
Yeah.
It's not so in the civil side, because there's, rarely do two sets of lawyers see each other again in the same year, in the same 2 or 3 or 4 years. Now, back in the late 60s and 70s,
different story.
There were a half a dozen major defense firms, and there was that great Nichols, I forget the name of the firm, personal injury firm. There were 3 or 4 great personal injury firms. Those guys were they were hardball players, but they were real gentle people to each other because they knew they'd be seeing them again.
I feel like to some extent, maybe it's the sort of the commodification of our practice because there's so many lawyers. Yeah. And it used to be, back in your days, you're talking about much smaller numbers where you kind of had to be civil, you had room to be civil. Right. And now it's like the competition for clients and cases is so cutthroat that guys are trying to, I don't know. I'm just trying to surmise what it is, what drives people. Because I don't think it's been I think it's been a slow progression. I don't think it's unique to, criminal. I'm not sure that's unique to Miami, but we've talked a lot about this
lack of
steady decline of civility,
Yeah.
but we kind of see it in all areas of our society. It's not just in the practice of law. We see it in government with people running red lights. Like it, I just feel like there's a general decline in compliance, in societal norms, if you will, cutting lines, things like that. People didn't cut lines in the old days. I don't know.
Well, so you reminded me of I'm standing in line my first day at the University of Wisconsin to register for classes. And I was standing in line in front of the Armory on State Street in Madison. And the guy comes up to me and says, hey, can I cut in? So I said, sure. Yeah, but what about all these people behind me? He says, well, I don't know about what you think you're registering for, but this is girls' gym. So I want to be with you. He became my fast friend and ultimately opened up a place called the Nitty Gritty, which Playboy magazine, I represented back in the day, Playboy magazine used to rate all the college bars in many of the big schools.
Big schools, yeah, sure.
They rated the nitty-gritty first for 3 years in a row, and then in the fourth year they said, we're dropping the nitty-gritty because it's a professional bar, professional college bar. We're only rating amateur college bars.
So I have two general questions for you, more questions, but one would be, given where you are in your career and where you're at in life, what would you want people professionally to remember you? Like, eventually you're going to hang it. Eventually you're going to say, okay, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do it anymore.
Or I'm going to die in court, which is fine. I mean, that's
but what do you want people to, when they think of Joel Hirschhorn, not that nobody was neutral,
right?
What do you want them to?
I'd like them to remember me as having been passionate, honest, hardworking. I knew where the line was. I would toe it, but never cross it.
I love that. I love that. And what are we going to see Joel Hirschhorn doing after you hang up?
Well, you'd have to go to my funeral, I guess. I don't know.
No. I mean, you know.
People want me to write a book, but you can't write. As a criminal defense lawyer, you can't write a book about
Change the
client.
names. You could write a novel.
Yeah. Milt Hirsch is doing that. You know, there's plenty. Edna Buchanan. She was great. There's some great investigative reporters still around in Miami, and great reporters covering courts, but I don't know what I'm going to do. I had that big boat, for many years called the A Quit All, and I'm done with boating. I've done my fishing. My grandchildren are spread out through various parts of the country. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't think I'm going to lecture. I think I'm probably too old to have a university pick me up. But I don't know, maybe I'll find a young kid I'll mentor. But then I'll want to go back into court, take over the case. That won't be good.
Sounds like a familiar story. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Well, Joel, this has been a treat for me. And I know it's been a while. We tried to get you in. It's been a long time. And I'm so happy that you were able to make it here and make it in person. So I got the opportunity to see you. It's been a while.
Well, I'm flattered you asked me. I really set this trip up so that I could come see you in person because I ship a great deal of nachas. When I see some little pisher that came into my office looking for a job for, what was it, $10 an hour?
It was so
don't
nothing.
Complain. I got paid $1 an hour.
Yeah. No, I'm not complaining at all, but compared to today, it's
And when I see how extraordinarily well you have done, I take great pride because I feel in some way I contributed.
No, you contributed tremendously to it.
Your legacy lives on in this guy right here. So
thank you.
And I'm pointing at Amron. Your legacy lives on in Amron.
No,
he's
well, it's
Joel
not just
Hirschhorn
me.
would never allow that.
Right. And by the way, it's not just me. Obviously, it is the long list of law clerks and associates and people and assistants and paralegals and everybody that worked for you along the way that I bet would line up to thank you.
There's only one convicted felon. That's pretty good. And he was a courtesy hire by a judge. You got to hire my son. I said, okay, I'm not going to say who.
Joel, thank you so much for doing
Thank you,
this.
Joel.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, share the show, give us a 5-star review, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Nelson. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you,
My
Joel.
pleasure. Okay.
Nelson Pratt.
For more information on this show and other resources, visit fastamron.com and connect with us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram @FastAmron.